What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot of a video. Hey, hope you guys enjoy it. Drop a like if you do. And also, hey, don't forget to follow my Twitch. What are you guys waiting on, dude? We're going to be having a blast of a live stream tonight. Get in there, dude. Pull up. I just changed my Twitch URL from the long-ass one it was before. It's just Goblin420, dude. I couldn't think of anything else. Everything else I wanted to do was taken. I was trying to do, like, The Goblin. That shit's long gone. Probably taken, like, 15 years ago or some shit. I was surprised this was even available. But either way, okay. New Twitch URL. Click that at the top of the description. Follow me, man. I stream on Twitch all the time. Without further ado, let's dive right into the video. So, in today's video, we're talking about some Molly that I got my hands on the deep web. And this took place back in 2017 during the summer, actually while I was on probation. For some of you guys who are OGs, you guys might remember that I'd mentioned that during this period of probation, you know, there was a brief stint where I was selling a little bit and I was re-upping through the deep web, right? And, you know, reason being, you know, I figured since I'm not really doing anything, it's not like I smoke, it's not like I'm really going through a fiend phase, I could make the most money. It was a good time to sell. Looking back at it, I was an idiot, dude. I was already on probation. If I ever got caught doing this, I would have literally gone to jail. I was really stupid. But at the time, I thought I was being a genius. So, let's get into it. So, at the time, you know, I'd placed an order recently to re-up on some bud. Bud was the main thing that I was buying on the deep web at the time because, you know, obviously since I was on probation, I couldn't smoke it. So, it made it really easy for me to make money on it. Like, I would never have any, like, 0 grams to smoke. It's perfect. Combine that with deep web prices, you can actually make decent money on weed, you know? Normally, it was pretty hard for me to make any profit selling any of that because A, I'd smoke half of it, and B, I'd be paying street prices. But, you know, deep web pricing combined with not smoking any, oh man. So on this particular day, I hopped on Alphabet and I was looking around to place my order, and I found my vendor, right? You know, I laid my eyes upon my bud guy. I didn't really remember who I got the weed from. This is just your average re-up. I didn't get any crazy amount. I think I got like maybe a QP or an HP. It wasn't like any super insane amount of weight, but enough to make me a good little chunk of change, right? So, and also, mind you, it wasn't like the highest quality shit ever. I was buying mids intentionally because all my friends are broke high schoolers, you know, like they all smoke mids. And if I could undercut all the other mid guys, we're golden, you know? So I was paying pretty good prices for these things, you know? Like I would never pay $100 an ounce. You know, like if I'm getting a QP, it would usually be like 200, maybe $300, you know, maybe. If I'm getting an H, you know, like I would get very, very good deals because it was the deep web, and that's just how it is. But either way, so I'm looking on there, and as I'm on Alphabet, you know, I'm scrolling around, and I'm also looking at some other drugs. After I placed my order for the bud, I realized that I still had a little bit extra Bitcoin to play with. You know, I had like $50 left, and I was like, well, let's see if there's anything, you know, I could just have a little fun copping and see what I could find. So I'm scrolling around, I'm looking around, and I stumble upon some Molly. And I remember this listing very well. I read this, and I thought it was a scam. It was advertised as, this guy was calling it Golden Danish MDMA. I'm positive that was just a nickname he was calling it. But that's what he was advertising it as. And the pictures look spectacular, dude. This shit, like, it literally looked like it was, like, crystallized piss. It was, honestly, it was insane. It was beautiful, dude. It looked wonderful, and I'm looking at these pictures and I'm like, dude, this is a fairly new vendor, you know, this is like a weirdly great price, and it's domestic shipping. That's, you know, I'm kind of down to take a risk here, you know, if worst comes to worst, I only lose like 40 or 50 bucks. I'm not really losing a shitload of money. And this listing had a gram of Molly listed for $35, right? That included shipping and everything, right? That's everything covered, baby. We're ready to rumble. So I see that, and I'm like, well, that looks pretty enticing. You know, it looks pretty intriguing. And I remember at first I didn't buy that. I was looking around at other stuff, but I just kept thinking, I was like, what even is Golden Danish? Like what the fuck is that? Like, this guy, like, yeah, it's probably just some nickname, but what if this is really just some crazy, like, foreign-ass Molly that I've just, like, never tried, you know? Because, of course, you know, you can get your brown sugar. There's a lot of different, you know, like, types of these drugs you can get, right? Where, really, it is just kind of a bag appeal thing. You're still doing the same drug at the end of the day, but it's still cool to try out different stuff, so it kind of intrigued me. So, eventually, I was like, fuck it, dude. Let's place an order. Let's see what happens. So, I order this Molly, maybe an hour gone by since I ordered the weed. Then I forget about it, right? The weed came pretty quick, maybe 4 or 5 days later. Molly took way longer, even though they were both shipped domestically. The Molly took probably like a week and a half, I want to say, not including business, not just business days, of course, like the weekend went by and everything, but either way, it took a minute, dude, but that shit eventually got delivered, and I remember I went and I picked it up on my way to work, right? I swooped by, I picked it up from the post office, and stupid ass me, I was getting my shit delivered to a P.O. box, Some people swear by P.O. boxes, they're like, oh, it's a good idea. Other people call you a dumbass. Personally, I think P.O. boxes are a death trap. Don't do it. If you're going to get something delivered from the deep web, do like a house, something like that, find someone's house you can use, or maybe just some fucked up address, something like that. P.O. box is just a no-go. Just don't do it. You don't want your drugs in the constant presence of federal employees, okay? That's just a no-go. But either way, back on topic. So I go by the post office, and I swoop by, and I pick up my package. Luckily, I never really had any problems with my P.O. box until the very end. That's for a different video. But I swoop by, and I pick up my package, right? And it's in this one of those little, bubble on the inside, padded envelopes, one of those yellow ones. I go pick it up, didn't even open it. I walk out of the post office, hop back in my car, and drove my ass to work, because I was on the way to work. I just stopped by the post office on my way there. So I whip on up to work, and on this particular day, I was working still as a bathtub salesman at this point in my life. For those guys who are OGs, you remember me talking about that plenty as well. But either way, I'm driving to a shift on this day. And on this particular shift, I worked at a flea market. Dude, this was one of the more interesting shifts I had worked. So I pull up there, and, like I'd said in the past, how this kind of job worked was, obviously, I had to convince people to get their bathrooms remodeled, right? I pitch it to them. And we would go to, home shows, even flea markets. We'd go into malls, and we'd have this it's a fucking bathtub on wheels with, tile around it. It's this little booth. And we'd just wheel it into places. We'd put up this little, gazebo thing over us to cover the sun so people would want to come over and get some shade. And then we just post up. We just stand there and yell at people who ran past and be like, yo, dude, you need a new fucking toilet, my G? You need a new shower? Pull up, bro. Let me know. We got it all here. Countertops? Invest, bro. Come through, So either way, I pull up, I park up at this flea market. I got out of my car and I walk up, And it's about noon. I eventually find where our display's at, and this flea market's a maze, right? But I figure it out pretty quick. I'm walking around. Typically, I'd been to this flea market before. We worked this one plenty of times, but typically we were in the same kind of area. So I walk over to where we normally were. I find our display, and my boy Trevor is there, one of my favorite coworkers. Plenty of stories about work with this guy I've told. And man, I was happy to see this motherfucker, dude. It was great to see him, dude. If there's anyone I want to talk about this alleged golden Danish with, it's Trevor. So, I go up, I dap him up. I'm like, my dude, how are you doing today? He's telling me about the shift. He's like, dude, honestly, I've been bored out of my mind. It's been really busy, though. I've gotten a lot of information. I've gotten a lot of numbers today, right? So I'm like, oh, that's fire, Let's make some good money. I'll get some numbers, too. Because we got paid hourly plus commission. We actually made decent bank, low key. We got 12 an hour base, and then for every person we got to give us their name and number, we get $1. If they booked an appointment for a free quote, even if they didn't buy, we got $25. Dude, we low key kind of banked at this job sometimes, but that was only when we worked hard and we didn't do Molly. But this was not one of those days. So I pull up and we work for maybe 30 minutes or so. And Trevor's just sweating, dude. It's a hot day out. I'm starting to sweat. Trevor's just a pool of sweat, dude. It's a toasty day, and even being in the shade doesn't help. We're fanning ourselves with our little pamphlets, our brochures that we're handing out, our little information packets. It's not enough, dude. None of this is enough. Sitting in the shaded bathtub is not enough. The tiles aren't cool enough. It's just not a hoot, not a holler. So eventually, Trevor asked me if I want to smoke, and it just pains me. I'm like, dude, did you forget, I'm on probation? I can't smoke. That hurts. But as soon as he asked that, I'm like, I can't smoke, but I have something you might want to try. Let's go back to my car real quick. He's like, bet, let's go. So we walk back over to my car. We hop in that shit, and we sit in the air conditioning to cool down for a minute. We're sipping on our beverages. We grab some Gatorades. Luckily, this flea market, it was at I don't know if it was like a hockey. It was some sort of sports stadium thing where inside there was a fuckload of vending machines and bathrooms you can go to. So it was kind of nice. So earlier we grabbed our drinks, so we're sitting in my car. We're chilling with our drinks and, enjoying the air conditioning, the nice insulation of the whip. And I bust out my little envelope, my little Molly. And he's like, yo, what do you got there? And I'm like, dude, check it out. I ripped this open, I brute force it, dude. I don't have any knife or scissors to cut this open. I just rip this shit as well as I can. And I bust it out. I rip open all the packaging. Honestly, I don't really remember how many layers of Mylar and whatever there was. This was like 4 years ago, dude. But it was packaged well enough to make it to me. That's all that counts. But either way, I bust this out, and I remember I get down to that final little baggie that this shit is in. And I remember the vast majority of this gram was just one fat crystal, There was a couple little broken off chunks in the bottom corner of the baggie, but for the most part, this was a fat fucking rock. And I pull this out, and it's yellow. It's not like golden yellow, not at all. It's not like a bright yellow, but it's more of like a clear with a yellow tint. And that was good enough for me. I'd done some Molly that looked like that before, and it knocked my fucking socks off. So Trevor sees this, and he's like, dude, this looks fucking amazing. And I'm like, you should try some, my man. Let me know how this is. He's like, are you sure? Like, can I have some? And I'm like, yeah, dude, don't worry about it. At this point, I was tight with Trevor. This is one of my favorite coworkers, and he'd gotten me right plenty of times before, right? He's always doing me a favor, whether it's just getting me a drink, or he'd even let me try a little bit of his stuff. Like, I talked about the Xanax I tried from him before, plenty of things, right? He'd help me out with all sorts of drugs I could do on probation that would get out within 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days. But either way, back on topic here. So I let him take some out of the bag, and we don't have a scale or anything, so he just kind of eyeballs it. He takes most of the little broken off rocks in the corner, and he's like, well, this is probably like a 0.1 or so I'll take this and I'll let you know how it goes. I'll let you know how I like it. And I'm like, bet, dude, sounds good. He kept trying to get me to roll with him, low-key. He was kind of trying to egg me into it. He was like, come on, man, hey, take a little bit. I was like, dude, listen, I don't know if I want to right now. We're just going to be standing out there sweating, bro. Like, that doesn't really sound that fun to me, honestly. Like, I feel like we just sweat harder. We'd sweat through our uniforms here, dude, because we had to wear these shirts that had the logo. It was fucked up. But either way, he was like, yeah, dude, you're kind of right, Like, either way, it's too late for me. So we get back out of my car, and we walk back over to the booth. And we're chilling, right? For maybe the next 30, 45 minutes, we're back to business, right? We're pitching our bathtubs to people. We're talking to everyone who goes past. And, we're also chatting it up with the people who have booths around us. Because, we're not the only people working at a scumbag company that works flea markets, right? There's plenty of other scumbag companies that work flea markets, like window companies. There's one, I think it's like Window World or some shit, bro. They were low-key our ops, bro. I always had beef with the fucking Window World guys, dude. Those guys were pricks, dude. But I mean, there was a whole lot of displays like that, right, at these events. So we're just bullshitting around with the guys next to us, just having a hoot of a time. And eventually, I'm getting into my work a little bit. I'm getting pretty busy, getting a lot of referrals, even an appointment here and there, right? Which, most appointments they never show for. Like, they just kind of give you their info because you, harass them for it. But most appointments are no-shows. Like, I'd say maybe 10, 20% of the appointments you get, you actually get paid for. But either way, back on topic. So, eventually I noticed that Trevor's not up front with me anymore. I sit back down, and I'm like, I'm trying to talk to him, and I say something, and I notice, he doesn't respond. So I look over my shoulder, and I'm like, oh, he's not, behind me. I figured since he wasn't in front of me, dude's got to be behind me or something. So I'm like, okay, where'd he go? I sit down. I figure maybe he went to the bathroom or something. He's coming back, whatever. That's cool. I'm chilling out in my chair, just kind of, catching the shade a little bit. And eventually, I get up and I'm like, okay, I need to smack my vape. I need to get a little nicotine in me. So I go behind our display like I'd usually do when I'd, get my little nicotine in me. And Trevor's standing there with his earbuds in, slapping some fucking music. So I tap him on the shoulder, I smack him on the shoulder, and this guy looks over at me. This man is lit. This man is bussin'. This man is off his rocker certified. I'm talking bowling ball pupils. He had a sweat stash, a mustache of sweat, and also just a whole line of sweat on his forehead that was not there before. I could tell the Molly just slapped this man and doubled his body temperature. I was like, holy fuck, dude, that golden Danish really came through, huh? Hey, that's a hoot right there. So he pulls the earbud out and he's like, what's good, bro? And I'm like, yo, dude, how you doing? How you like it? He's like, dude, this shit's fire. This is great, dude. We should go do some shit. And I'm like, what are you trying to do? We're kind of at work right now. And he's like, dude, I got a bunch of fucking referrals already. And I'm like, yo, let's chill for a little bit longer. Let me get some more, and then we'll do some shit, right? So Trevor comes back around the front of the thing, and he sits in the bathtub in the display. And people are walking past, and I'm standing in front of him, pitching at everyone. Because I just wanted to get a few extra bucks in for referral money, my commission money, before we got the fuck out of there and did whatever, right? Because obviously, we had a time that we were supposed to be there until, but there's no one supervising us. Like, we could really actually walk off our display whenever the hell we wanted. It was kind of a sweet job. But either way, I get a couple more, names and numbers down. That's, netted me a few more dollars. And I look back to Trevor, and I'm like, my dude, you're bussing. You're sweating all over the tub. They're definitely going to have to sanitize this. Let's go, let's go have a hoot. Let's go do some shit, right? So we get up and we walk around this flea market, dude. And we're walking around, and eventually I just realized how much fun this guy's having compared to me. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I got to do some Molly, So we walk back to my car. I'm like, Trevor, come on, dude, come back to my car. So we get back to my car and we turn on the music. Trevor's like, dude, please let me get aux. So he's playing some fucking music, dude. And I take a little bit of Molly out of the bag and eyeball it. Not as much as he took. Not nearly as much. He was very generous with his eyeball, which of course I let him be. But I grab a little bit out of the bag now and I'm like, all right, dude, it's my fucking turn. Let's get to it. So down the hatch I go. I'd say it was about a 0.1. Very light dose. I never got like super sweaty, jaw locked like Trevor did, but I remember we sat in the car for what felt like an eternity. Realistically, it was probably 30 minutes, but no, it was longer than 30 minutes. By the time I got back out of the car, I remember I was feeling it. As soon as I stood up out of that seat, it's like the rays of sun hit me, dude. As soon as I closed my car door, it was just all that sun just caressed me. It was just baking me, and I didn't really feel hot anymore. It's like I didn't have to escape the heat. I didn't want to sit in the AC. I wanted to get outside and go walk around the flea market, even though in reality, I was sweating sack, dude. Listen, our uniforms were light green. I want to give you guys a mental image here that you might not like. Our uniforms, right? They gave us these t-shirts that were like a very thin material, and they were light green. So if you sweat, everyone knows, on days where we would be working in like mid-July, most people I knew that I worked with, including me, would bring like 2 shirts and we'd change halfway through the shift. It would get sketchy out there when we were working outdoors. We didn't have a fan or anything. But listen, dude, on this particular shift, we came out of that shit looking like we just got out of Raging Waves, bro. Holy fuck. It looked like we had towels on with the company logo. It was disgusting. We looked rancid. We looked like crack addicts. We looked like we just did all the meth at the flea market. And believe me, there was a lot around, dude. There was some tweakers at this flea market selling all type of shit. Lots of stolen goods getting offloaded, dude. The electronics are real. Hey, do not shop from the electronics section at a flea market, bro. That shit's it's stolen. All of it is stolen. Do not buy that shit. But either way, back on topic. So, we're walking around this flea market, right? And it's just like a maze. There's all these vans pulled up. There's people in RVs. There's whole box trucks full of shit being sold. And there you can find anything. You could find literally like shoes that are both knockoff and sometimes lower end authentic shoes. You're not going to find any crazy shit though. You can find like people selling trading cards. You can find people selling all types of clothes, electronics, toys, fucking car parts even. You could find anything at the flea market. So we're walking around and I'm bussing, dude. I'm lit. I remember I'm walking around and we come up to this sports cards thing, dude. We come up to this big display where this guy's selling a bunch of old ass like baseball and football cards and shit. And he's got some ancient ass cards, dude. Looking back at it, they were like probably counterfeit. But this guy like had a bunch of like Dan Marino football cards and like all these really, really sick old baseball and football player cards. I mean, I don't know shit about, but they were probably worth a decent penny if they were real, right? So we're looking at these and we come up to this and we're asking this guy all these questions. We're like, dude, like, did you, like, where'd you get that? How long have you had that? How much is that? Knowing fully well that we don't have any fucking money. We're not buying, like, we're not purchasing any of this shit. But nevertheless, we're like, dude, like, this is sick, right? We're wandering around this whole fucking flea market, dude. And finally, we come up to the shoe display. And Trevor stops, dude, and he sees this little pair of shoes, right? Trevor's a Vans kind of guy. Trevor was not like a Jordans or like a Kobe's, like a basketball shoe guy. Trevor is a Vans and Converse kind of guy. So we come up to this shoe thing, and Trevor sees this pair of Vans that are like custom painted. There's this person at the flea market who was like selling these shoes that like they'd like painted themselves, like just drawn on or otherwise designed on themselves. And he sees these, and he's like, "Oh my god, like I gotta cop these, right? Like these are sick, you know? These look dope, you know?" So he asked the person, he's like, "Hey, like, how much are these shoes?" Now, I don't know much about the Vans economy, y'all. So y'all might have to inform me. But the girl sitting there is trying to charge my boy Trevor $80 for this pair of shoes. And honestly, I didn't look very closely because I was kind of looking at everything else happening around me. But from what I recall, they were like plain white Vans with like, there was like people drawn. They were like stick people. Like it looked like it was intentionally drawn badly to be like edgy, you know, to be like cool. Like, oh, dude, like, look, dude, like, man, I hate everything so much, dude. I hate my life so much. I can't even draw, bro. Like the text on it was like scribbled on, bro. Listen, it was just shit. Okay, something I wouldn't have paid $40 for. But this chick is trying to charge Trevor $80 fucking dollars. And I'm trying to tell him, I'm like, once I hear that, I'm like, bro, dude, I understand I'm on MDMA, but like, get the fuck out of here, dude. That's a scam. But Trevor's obsessed with these shoes. He's like, oh, these are really dope. And he sees the other ones, and she has all types of shoes, men's, women's, all types of shit that are like painted different colors. They're drawn on. She even had like some custom Jordans in there that low-key, some of them were kind of fire. I can't lie, but the Vans were not fire at all. He's looking through all these shoes, and I'm like, dude, like, we got to get the fuck out of here. You're about to get jugged. But he ends up buying them. I couldn't stop him. He ends up buying these fucking shoes, dude. So he buys these piece of shit, probably used before Vans, right? And he just grabs them, right? He just hands her the money and just fucking grabs them and puts them on his feet. And I'm like, dude, like, I thought we were just finna look around. Like, I thought we had no money. He's like, yeah, dude, I mean, I don't know. Like, I just kind of wanted those. Like, I mean, I have money. I just kind of wanted those. I'm like, shit, dude. I guess I'm the only one without money here, and also you're kind of tweaking with that decision. But either way, let's proceed. So we walk around, and eventually we come back to our booth. We realize, like, hey, it's been like 2 hours, you know, give or take. We should probably maybe do a little more work to close things out. So we sit back at our booth, and we just stand there. Or we sit there, pardon me. We do fuck all the rest of the time. Our definition of work was, yo, dude, let's sit on our phones and dick around, and let's play, like, Kill Bang Mary with whoever, like, the first 3 women that walk past, you know? So that's what we did for the, like, rest of our shift. Literally, every time we just see, like, 3 random women walk past, we just be like, all right, dude, that woman there, that woman there, that woman there, you know? Which one, dude? And we were just going with it the whole time, giving the Window World boys some filthy looks, dude, sweating balls, looking like we just came out the pool. It was a hoot and a holler, dude. But I learned on this fine day that the Golden Danish, it was wonderful for me, man. It was exactly what I needed, dude. It was a hoot. It was a holler, dude. Hey, after this shift, dude, we kind of chilled out. We had a very long one. I think we didn't even leave until like 8 p.m., dude. It was dark as fuck out by the time we left. And I was pretty bone sober. I was cranky by the end of that shift. I was trying to go home, dude. I was really fucking pissed, dude. So we packed our shit up and left, and it was a hoot, man. Hey, I appreciate you guys for tuning into today's video. Drop a like if you enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, gamers.